Another close game. This one got a little bit ugly, but Mitchell and I have it all right here on another Mavs pod.
Welcome to another Mavs podcast, a weekly show about your Dallas Mavericks and the official pod of MFFL.
That song almost cheered me up, but welcome back to another Mavs podcast. We talk a lot about life and a little about the Mavs. As always, this is Jake, admin of MFFL on all platforms. Joining me is Tyler Hero Truther, Mitchell Jackson. How we feeling, Mitchell?
Oh man, I'm heartbroken. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little hot. I got a lot to talk about, but I'm gonna let you do your thing.
We might have our first Mitchell rant, but yeah, Mavs lose 118 to 123. Just other than a few highlights here and there, it was an ugly game. There's quite a comeback in the fourth down the stretch, but I mean, this hurts. I don't know how else to put it. This one hurts.
Yeah, and I'm trying not to crash out, but you know, when I was first watching the fourth quarter, I was like, "Oh man, there's a lot of good to talk about." And I guess even with a loss, you still can take away a lot of things. That fourth quarter was pretty brutal at the end, and then overtime was just even worse. But I really liked how the bench played tonight. I thought Najee Marshall did a good job. Daniel Gafford did a good job. Like, at first I was going to talk about, you close out the half really well. You're down, I think, 6 at one point, and you close out the half well. You feel good coming out in the third. And then it looked like you were about to do the same in the fourth quarter, and Kyrie Irving did his thing tonight. But at the same time, like, he really shot poorly in that last 3 minutes, and it was obvious that J Kidd was calling his number for almost every possession. And I mean, let's just be honest, 3 of 12 shooting for the night. He was not. He almost shot us. I'll say it. He shot us out of that game. As well as he played in the fourth quarter, like, I don't know, the first couple possessions that things aren't falling for him, I feel like you need to go somewhere else. Spencer Dinwiddie just played an absolute stinker tonight. And let's be real, on that possession, Kyrie Irving misses one of the free throws. He goes 2 of 3. They have a chance to win it with a 3. Spoelstra calls a timeout, and you got out-coached. You got out-coached. The fact that Jimmy Butler has a wide-open lane, they do a little bit of motion offense. Looks like they're going to go into the weak side of the corner there, and you completely get faked out. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it was a weird game. The Mavs started out great start. Actually, wasn't expecting that. And then the second through 90% of the fourth quarter, we were losing. There was 18 lead changes, so that it doesn't sound like that was the case. But the second quarter through midway through the fourth were brutal. And then the Mavs go on that big run. But yeah, you touched on Spencer Dinwiddie. I had said something in the offseason. I wonder who's going to be the THJ of this year. And I think, I hate to say this, but from game to game, it might be Clay. I still love Clay, don't get me wrong, and he still draws a lot of attention. But it's really going to be Dinwiddie, man. That was, at what point do you say, all right, the threes aren't falling, you shot 8, and then you make it 9. Ironically, the closest 3 that he had to going in was the one that would have won the game. But just disgusting game from Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
There's no way around that.
I'm really curious to see what Jason Kidd sees in practice to where Jaden Hardy isn't getting Spencer Dinwiddie's minutes. I think a couple games ago, he had one of his better games, and it looked like, things were starting to come together for him. And then he instantly goes back to playing less than 10 minutes a game. So I don't know what's going on there, but I mean, you needed something off the bench tonight. I mean, let's be real, bro. Miami did not play that well. They you had every opportunity to win this game. They shoot 14 of 41 from 3 and they shoot 17 of 27 from the free throw line. They left so many points out.
Disgusting.
Like this one hurts really bad, and it's easy to say, "Oh, well, you're missing Luka. You expected to lose that game." It's like, no, you actually had a comeback in the fourth, and that game was yours. But a few sloppy possessions, and you hand the game right back to them. It's just poor discipline.
You want to know something I do want to touch on that's a positive is Najee Marshall. So Najee Marshall in the first quarter, 0 of 3 from the field, 1 point. Najee Marshall in the second quarter, no points, 0 of 1 from the field. Najee in the third, 10 points, 4 of 5 field goal. And then Najee in the fourth, 7 points, 3 of 6 field goal. So, I mean, I, I just think it's funny, man. People love to overreact, but all overreaction aside, Najee Marshall the past 5 or 6 games has been incredible.
Yes. And that's and look, I get it, right? Kyrie Irving, one of the best point guards in the world. Obviously, you're going to give him the ball in the fourth quarter. He did well. I mean, I think he had like 16 points in the fourth. You can fact check me on that.
Mm-hmm.
But those final possessions, when you see the ball not falling, like obviously Najee Marshall was the hot guy. I'm not saying he's the go-to guy, but you got to try something else, man. Like, and again, this is what happens, right? I'm shocked that the refs didn't call a foul on that Jimmy Butler layup. That's a good takeaway, right? Like, because
Yeah.
I'm glad they swallowed their whistle there, but like, it's one of those things where you're missing your star player. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I was nervous as soon as it went to overtime because I was like, yeah, we're gonna blow it.
Yeah, I knew. I knew we were going to blow it. And there's 4 seconds on the clock, and you get a Dinwiddie had a good look, so I'm not going to hate on him too much there. But a lot of talk about Maxey, and I mean, when he was in, he was bad. But I mean, he played 9 minutes, so a lot of people on Twitter are saying he's the reason why we lost. I think
Nah,
that's a little much.
it is a little much. It is a little much. Really, it was. I don't even know like where to start. Really, you had some random Pele Larson like ball out on you. And I think that was Dinwiddie's matchup. I do think that your guard play was a little weak tonight. Um, and I don't know, man. I mean, Jimmy Butler's Jimmy Butler. That they were probably the better team tonight, and we did talk about it in the week prior that the Mavs were probably going to drop this game. I don't know. I feel like Spoelstra just has our number, and you just got out coached straight up.
Hey, you want to know something that will cheer you up a little bit? So, I right before the pod, I was cooking dinner. It's still in the works, but pod comes first. Making some chicken tortilla soup, and I was cutting up garlic, and I never use fresh garlic, right? So I made a mess. My hands reek right now. My phone reeks. But on Twitter, I accidentally, you know how you can change or X, whatever you call it, who can reply? I did only me. So I'm saying like overreact to this box score, and no one could reply. But I got it fixed.
I bet
But
the Mavs fans were loving that.
oh, I'm getting cooked. I'm getting absolutely cooked. But that's a funny note. But what would you say, basketball aside, Mitchell? What is your favorite soup? And this is a very important question.
Oh man. You know, I really do like me a good chicken tortilla soup. I like mine a little spicy. I don't like it being bland. Like it needs to make me sweat for me to like it. But I'm gonna throw a curveball out here. I love French onion soup.
French onion, man, I haven't had that in a minute.
Dude, if you like the French dip situation where you can get a nice like salty sandwich to dip in there, oh my goodness.
That is gas. I'm trying to think. There's a place over by my work, actually right where we were at, that makes really good soup. I'm gonna get back to you on just straight gas
Also,
and
miso soup is nobody sleeps on miso soup, but I think that shit's really good too.
yeah, miso soup is good. See, My favorite, and this is potentially controversial, is going to be potato. I just feel like potato
Ah,
soup with some bacon, with some cheddar cheese. You can't tell
God,
I haven't
you
had
are
dinner
you
yet.
are you? How old are you?
You
You
get-
may go well in a retirement home. People complain. People are always scared about retirement homes. You may fit right in.
I, I told people in the intro, I switched up the intro. We're going to talk a lot of non-maps. So here we are 10 minutes in talking about
This
soup.
man's getting his AARP card next week.
Dude, I don't know
Oh
what's
man.
going on Twitter. Anything I tweet now is just automatically, I'm the only one that can reply. So I'm going to have to shoot Elon a message.
Yeah, I know you got him on speed dial, so that should work out just fine. Okay, while we're on the topic of soup, we all know
Hmm.
what week this is. It is feast week, ladies and gentlemen. I got a couple questions for you. Number one, how many Thanksgivings do you go to this week?
So this year, technically I'm doing one, but after Thanksgiving, the meal at we're having dinner, I'll head over to my girlfriend's house, but only
Right on.
one. How about you, Mitchell?
Yeah, so I'm going for the trifecta this year. I have a Friendsgiving tomorrow night. And then, due to scheduling conflicts, I have my fiance's family's Thanksgiving Tuesday. And then I have my family's Thanksgiving on the Great Turkey Day itself. So I'm going to be really stuffed and I'm going to be taking a lot of mid afternoon naps because that turkey got me sleep.
Dude, that is a busy week. You're spread thin.
I'm spread thin and I'm also spread wide because of how fat I'm going to be after this week.
You cooked my choice of soup. What's your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Um, I really, really love cornbread dressing. And that was my next question is, do you call it
What?
stuffing or dressing?
Stuffing.
You call it stuffing?
Yeah.
Okay, where did you grow up? Have you always grown up in Dallas?
Yeah, my parents are from Ohio though.
Okay, so that's why. So let me give you a little bit of rundown, right? So I come from a very southern family, and my grandma, rest in peace, Nan, love you, miss you. She would make the best dressing, and I would always be like, "Why do you call it dressing? It's stuffing." And she
Right.
would cook me every single time saying that it's dressing, and I'm like, "No, it's called stuffing." And she would call me a Yankee. So fun
Oh,
fact,
cooked.
there's a difference,
What's the
and
difference?
it's in the name. So stuffing is cooked inside the turkey, and then you pull it out and serve it. Dressing is cooked separately in a casserole dish.
Yo,
Did I just blow your mind?
that's crazy actually.
Yeah, yeah. So Southerners call it dressing because they don't put it in the turkey.
Uh, um, I'm really thinking about it. I think my mom and grandma make it inside the turkey though.
Okay, so you're gonna be wearing a Yankees cap in the next podcast.
Gross.
You're gonna be
That's
a Laker fan. You're gonna be all the things.
regardless of stuffing or dressing, that's not the best side. My
Okay.
side is a side that wasn't even added until I made it is mac and cheese.
Do you put the little crusties on top?
The crusties is crazy. Yeah, so I finally got the huge responsibility last year and the ability to cook the turkey. And my mom has always done it, and I love her to death, but uh, she's definitely going to hear this. But it was a little dry my whole life, so I never liked
Oh,
turkey. I'm
Mama
definitely going to
Rafe is
cook.
catching strays.
Yeah,
No.
catching a stray. I'm sorry, mom. A little dry. It was good. No, I'm capping. It was trash. So I never really liked turkey. But the last year, I injected it with a little lemon butter garlic
Yo,
concoction.
yo.
So I literally injected it, and then I also pulled up the skin, got under that, put some more, like a little bit of butter under there, smoked it for like 5 hours, and man, it was so good. It was
Oh my
crazy.
goodness.
So now that honestly might be number one over the mac and cheese. But I also make the mac and cheese in the smoker. Yeah, you got to have those crusties, crunchies. I don't know. I don't know what you call those on top, but yeah.
Jake Rafus is the Mavs aficionado and a Michelin star chef. That's crazy. You're like a Renaissance man.
Yeah, they call me the grill master.
Okay, one other thing that I want to say that's kind of a slept on dish. It's probably like dressing is my 1A, but 1B is mashed potatoes, but specifically it has to have those crunchy onions on top.
Yeah, those are special.
That's and I would say the worst is green bean casserole, bro. Don't miss me with that. It doesn't need to be there.
See, I don't mind it, honestly. I like green beans.
I like green beans too. I just don't know if I've ever met a good green bean casserole. I'll keep an open mind and I'll report back next week to see if
My
one of my 17 Thanksgivings has a good one.
After throwing a stray, I have to redeem myself. My mom's is fire, so I
Okay.
gotta clear the air there.
So she's shooting one of two.
50% from the field.
That's
Honestly,
pretty good.
everything is really good. It's just the turkey was. Yeah, I'm gonna stop talking.
So are you a turkey or ham enjoyer?
I was ham, but now I have to say turkey, man. I'll
Really?
save you some of my turkey.
Really?
We could try it
Yeah,
on the pod.
I'm down. I've always been a ham enjoyer. I just because like you can eat. I guess you can eat ham year round too, but like nothing beats a honey glazed ham. It's
Oof.
just it's unmatched.
I'm gonna title this the food podcast. This is so much better than talking about this game.
We got to move on, man. Yeah. I mean that game hurt my soul. But I will say, um, you put that loss aside, 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row after losing 4 in a row. You're 9-8. I think Houston is surprising a lot of people. We're third place in the Southwest standings right now. I don't think this is gonna hold the way it will. Hopefully Luka can come back sooner rather than later. I think what they say, a week.
Right. Well, he'll be reevaluated in a week.
Okay, you should be able to beat the Hawks without Luka. Um, I'm not able to see the rest of our upcoming games, but
Man, you want to touch on the past games? I mean, I started this podcast off doom and gloom, but there's a lot of good to be talked, or a good that we can talk about from this past week.
take it away, sir.
Sure. So, are we going to talk about the projections?
What projections?
Remember how last week we made those projections of?
Yeah, we nailed it. Well, I
Well,
did.
you
I
nailed
did.
it.
Yeah.
You're on a heater. People are about to start trailing you, but so we can start with the Denver game. I was not surprised. Were you surprised that Jokic was back?
I'm glad because he's been losing me fantasy games and he saved my week, so I'm glad. Also, by the way, Najee Marshall was your top scorer in that game.
Oh my gosh.
So people
So
people owe that man an apology.
I love Najee, man. I don't know you love him more than anyone. We have receipts to prove it. But yeah, so we beat the Nuggets by 3. So that was a close game win, a huge win, late game in the mountains. And yeah, Najee masterclass. And then talk about the Emirates NBA Cup. Maybe that's the sponsor of today's podcast, Emirates. I think I'm saying that right.
Dude, watching that Denver game, I literally had to turn my TV screen brightness down because the way they painted their
Oh
court
my
was
gosh.
blinding, absolutely
Barf.
blinding.
Yeah, it was atrocious. I was squinting at the start, and I did the same thing. But so we won that game, and then yeah, the Pelicans game was just an absolute blowout, 132-91, and yeah, again a good Najee game. And then the Thunder game, we obviously won by 2 as well. So we can win clutch games. I guess me saying we can't is PTSD from earlier in the season, but
Well,
yeah.
I was just about to say the fact that you were able to beat Denver, you're beating Oklahoma City,
Huge.
like that shows that we're capable of being the quality team that we all know we are. I think you're starting to see the bench show up. I do think there may be a depth issue further on down in like your ninth, 10th, 8th man. They got to
At
figure
Maxi
that out.
Kleba.
Well, they got to figure it out, and I think maybe you use the deadline to do that, or maybe you try to pick someone off waivers before that deadline ends. But I think we're close, and that's why this Miami game doesn't really bother me because I think there is a lot of good to take out of it. Um, so yeah, I'm still not worried. It's early.
So if you would have told me no Luka this whole week in some of the games we've won, I wouldn't have believed you, to be frank. So, and I wouldn't have believed you that this game was so close. But Kyrie is incredible. But I do want to talk about something, Mitchell. Do you know who has not been at most of the Mavs away games? Did you see that today?
Player wise,
No,
hmm.
Mark Cuban.
Oh
So Mark
gosh.
Cuban pregame went on an absolute rant. He was asked in a recent interview with Stein, shout out Mark Stein, why he hasn't been at games. And he said the NBA got really, 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 really petty and said, I can't sit behind the bench anymore. The only time I feel any regret is when the NBA pisses me off. Maybe it would be different if we were losing and things weren't going well, but things are going well. It's nothing specific to the Mavs. I can't go into NBA meetings anymore and give them SHIT for being petty. So
Oh, because he's
that's,
the minority owner.
yeah, they told him he can't sit behind the bench, which was shocking. Honestly, say whatever you want about Cuban. He's done a lot for the NBA, and I was shocked that they did that, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know. We're still trying to establish if this is a family friendly pod or not, but I have strong feelings towards Adam Silver. I think he looks like something that I would love to say, but probably shouldn't. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of odd rules when it comes to the NBA, and that doesn't surprise me. That sucks.
I don't know if they're just trying to make Dumont, trying to make that the front-facing person now, but I don't know. I was surprised, but I mean, you didn't even notice.
Do
I'm
they
sure a lot of
allow
people
do they allow
haven't.
Nico? Is Nico allowed to sit back there?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I don't know, man. I think that's a really weird rule. I mean, he's still a part of the organization in a much lower. I don't know. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they essentially he had all control of basketball operations, and he no longer has any of that. So
Right.
you make a good point, though. He should have some percentage of the team still, but maybe not, man.
Huh. Yeah, that's a weird one. But he's still good at home games.
Right? Yeah, he's still
So
courtside.
what's the difference?
I think he like owns those seats technically.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a fair
Well,
question.
I mean, it's the NBA. Nothing really has to make sense anymore.
Right? No, it doesn't. But yeah, that was surprising. Is there anything else you have to say about the new ownership, Mitchell?
I I'm excited as a sports betting enjoyer and casino enjoyer. I would love to see the possibility of that coming to Dallas. Obviously, there's a lot of red tape and hurdles that they got to get through for that to happen, but it would be very fun. And it's just you're technically going from one billionaire to another, so I don't think much is going to change on that front as far as like
Right.
money or. But let's be real, I don't think any of us want to be in the AAC much longer. I think a new arena would do a lot to attract good players here. So
Yes.
I don't know. I'm excited for the future.
Yeah, I am too. And something to keep in mind is even before Patrick Dumont bought the Mavericks, Cuban has always been on record saying he wanted a new stadium as soon as that lease ends when the American Airlines Center, which I believe is 2028, they were going to have a new stadium. And Cuban actually had land near Dallas and was talking about an all glass stadium where you could see the skyline from every
Oh
seat, which
no.
is impossible. It doesn't make sense since the skyline is only technically that would be east. But regardless, that was just a funny quote. The new plan is The Dumont family, right when they acquired the Mavs, bought a ton of acres right over where the old Dallas Cowboys stadium used to be in Irving, like Las Colinas area. So in theory, when that lease ends, they're hoping that gambling can be legal so they can build a huge casino slash resort where the Mavs play, which would be insane. And
That
with
would
how
be
much
crazy.
money they're pouring into the state and down into Austin, I wouldn't be surprised if it's legal by then.
Yeah, I think there's a couple people in government that would have to leave to let that pass because I don't think how it currently stands it would. But you never know. Money talks, and politicians love that stuff. But anyways, I'll move on from that. Going back to your all glass stadium thing, could you imagine how hot it would be in that arena in the summertime? Like finals games, you would literally come out like 3 shades darker because you would catch a tan. That's that's interesting to think
Bro,
about.
I didn't think about that too. Imagine the glare at like Jerry's World. Imagine that for like the game
Oh
today.
yeah, I mean, bro, you would have to have like massive drapes, but don't get me started
Oh
on
my
Jerry Jones.
gosh.
The Mavericks are supposed to be saving my sanity. I am such a fan of the most mid teams when it comes to like college sports and everything. This is supposed to be my escape. So I really, for my sanity, I need the Mavs to get going here. But still not worried.
I've been waiting, Mitchell. You're yet to bring up the Texas Tech Oklahoma State game. And for y'all that don't know, Jake went to Oklahoma State and Mitchell went to Tech. But that was, speaking of a disgusting game, that was a shootout. But I gotta give y'all the Red Raiders credit. Y'all pulled it out. So shout out to you for that.
I'm not even proud of it. Let's be real. That looked like a high school football game, man. Like that was crazy. I'm looking forward to next year. Tech basketball um is my saving grace on that end, but they didn't do too hot this week. They dropped a game to a pretty mid school. So
Brother,
we'll,
St. Joseph's.
yeah. But they shot the lights out. Like they literally turned into an NBA team. They shot like
Oh,
66% from three. Yeah. So I'm gonna say that was a good night for them. But
wait a minute.
the jig's still up for my team. Yeah.
Wait a minute, man. St. Joseph's beat Villanova, so maybe maybe I need to stop hating on them.
Okay, but go scroll down more on their schedule. They lost to Central Connecticut too, so they're
Dude,
very hot and cold.
why do you think the bracket is so hard? I mean, Texas beat them by less than 10 points.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
so, I mean, that's the crazy thing about basketball is there's so many games, and I mean, we see that with the Mavs. Thankfully, we haven't really seen it yet, but teams take games off, and the Raiders probably took that game off. You see
For
St.
sure.
Joseph's, and you don't watch the film as close.
It's funny. They have a mascot that they're I think they're the Hawks, the Red Hawks.
Hmm.
Their mascot has to flap its wings for the entirety of the game.
Oh my lord! So is
Yeah.
he just yoked,
Yeah,
shoulders to nose?
he has to be like what do they play like 30 games and he has to
Yeah.
flap his wings for the entire time, 2 hours. That's
Is it
wild.
like a fast flap or is it like a slow flap? How dialed in is he, bro?
I think it depends on how well the game's going, but that man was flying when I watched him, so I was impressed, and he gets a full ride scholarship for doing it.
Jeez, I mean
Not a
that's
bad gig.
makes it worth it, right?
Not a bad gig. Yeah,
Massive shoulders too.
they need to get him some NIL money.
Right. So, question for you. This weekend I was in Arizona. I did something that was absolutely incredible. We rented these Polaris turbo 4x4s, just an incredible machine, and went off-roading through the desert, and it may have been the most fun I've ever had in my life. Have you ever done anything like that?
I have. The one time that I was in Arizona, it was for the Fiesta Bowl. I think it was in like 2008. I don't know, whenever it was Texas versus Ohio State. It was in Sedona. And I did
Mhm.
that, and it was snowy outside as well. So we were off-roading in like snow. No, that's a
That's
very
sick.
fun experience. Anybody listening, would recommend. Doesn't have to be in Arizona. Go hop on a Polaris. Those things are fun.
Yeah, they are. Man, they are fun. I was a little nervous though. We had to put down a deposit of $1,500, and they're like, if it flips, or not even flips, if the side touches the ground, you lose that deposit. So I
Did you
started
have
out.
a Did you have a guide with you to like check to make sure, or were you just full send?
So it was me and so it was six guys that did it, and we had two, so we switched off driving.
Okay.
And it's 2 hours one way, 2 hours back. So the first 2 hours down towards this river, it was just really conservative. Everyone was very safe. Man, on the way back, it was like a Red Bull commercial, like literally off-roading. Wheels were coming off the ground, which
Yep.
I probably shouldn't have said that. It's incriminating. But I didn't flip it. It didn't roll. We did hit some trees, some small trees, but other than that, it was pretty good. There was
That's
no
what a brush guard's for. You're good.
right, no major damage, but man, it was so fun.
That's awesome. No, yeah, you're giving me a little bit of FOMO because I really enjoy those things.
Last thing, and we'll wrap it up. Didn't you go golfing this weekend?
Oh man, I was supposed to, but I got ditched, and
Wow.
people gave me a rain check. So I did go to the driving range, and just kind of like you, like I think I'm thinking about my form too much now.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty impressed with my distance. I've been shooting like 260 with a driver, which I feel like is pretty
Jeez.
good.
Yeah, that's
Is
really
that
good.
is that good?
That is good.
But I can't hit an iron anymore.
Oh no.
I just like there's no loft at all, and it just goes like straight but really low.
So I saw
So
a video
I'm
on
concerned.
IG for better iron content or iron contact, and you put like a towel like a foot behind your club. But regardless, I'll send that to you. I'm gonna get that to you. But
Please.
Mitchell, anything else? Any other last thoughts?
Nah, yeah, real quick, looking ahead at our schedule, this is the opportunity to really like gain some ground and get some solid wins under your belt. Atlanta, New York, Utah, Portland, Memphis, Washington, Toronto, and then 2 games with the Clippers. So uh, this it sucks to have Luka out, but I think a lot of these games are winnable. You just got to keep playing like you have, and you got to close out games. So
Right.
my heads up. I like our chances.
I say 2-1
Two
next
and one
three
this
games.
week.
Mm-hmm. Fall to the Knicks.
Fall to the Knicks, huh?
Beat the Hawks and Jazz.
I'm saying I'll go full homer this week. We're going 3-0.
Shoot, I'll be there Wednesday to cheer us on as we beat Jalen Brunson. But Mitchell, as always, it was fun. Mavs fans, peace out.